Hello, everyone. I had to double check if I had my microphone on because, I keep forgetting that every single time. Welcome, everyone. My name is Marcella de Bie. I'm the host of this show. Most people know it by now. And if you're listening, welcome to the show as well, because you're not seeing anything, but you do hear my voice. I don't know if you're happy with that, but you need to deal with it. So today we got another cool show going on. I'm very excited. It's very warm in my room, and also with the two guests, they have a very hot room as well. So if you're melting away, then you know why. Hi, Juan, how you doing? So today I do have my script with me in very tiny letters. So let's get into it. So what we have today is a take on the game industry. That's what we have our main subject. Then we also will talk about Web3 gaming. And we also will talk about future of the game industry. And we have a game blog, The Bornless. So that's what we're going to see here today. And obviously, I can't do this alone. I mean, I never can do this alone. So I do have my guest. And there we go. I'm introducing the lovely Toby and Branton. Welcome.
Hi, Marcella.
Hi.
Chat. How's everyone doing?
Hello. Is my audio... My cat decided he wanted to get into my wires below my desk. I apologize.
It's okay. It's funny. So I'm just, while you're fixing that, I will do a little introduction about you two. Starting off with Toby Saunders, if I say correctly, CEO of The Bornless. With his roots in film and TV, Toby worked in TV drama as well as advertising for brands like Snapchat and Twitter. He went viral with his hobby project, an Unreal Engine remake of Final Fantasy X, if I'm saying it correct, which was featured by Eurogamer and YouTube Gaming. Then we have Branton Lansdale, head of game at The Bornless, a multi-talented and obsessed indie dev. With a decade of experience in Unreal Engine, Branton has been a part of the Bornless creation almost since its genesis. From being mentored by his uncle, Lee Perry, from Gears of War 1 and 2, he has designed and deployed multiple projects with a variety of team skills. So welcome. Good to have you both here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the intro.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be here. It's the first time I didn't have to introduce myself. That was awesome.
That's nice, yeah.
It always sounds, I think, when someone else is doing it, he's like, wow, that sounds like a pretty cool guy. Oh, that's me.
I know. I was listening to mine. I was like, wow, I did all that. That's cool.
I'm almost a professional.
It's almost that people want to hear about this. That's why we have you both on the show, obviously. So starting off, how did you enter the gaming industry?
Yeah, I guess I could go first. I picked up Unreal Engine originally as a VFX tool. With my sort of background in film and TV, I was learning Unreal Engine as a real-time renderer. You can use Unreal Engine for movies and cinema. They used it in Black Panther, Mandalorian. There's lots of cool movies and TV shows out there that use Unreal Engine, and I was learning it for that, and I slipped down the rabbit hole of game development as a lifelong nerd, and started making games for fun, and realized I was terrible at making them, and I wanted to find people who were really good at making them and make games with them, which is where I found Branton. So Branton's really good at making games.
That's good. That's good.
Going to Branton.
Okay,
yeah. So it originally started as a hobby, which honestly, I think that's how it starts for everybody. The whole game development, like Toby said, is quite a rabbit hole. And you really have to have like a passion to continue with it, because it is a long, bumpy road. But if you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel too long.
No.
I got started it was about 10 years ago now, a little over 10 years. And it originally started as a hobby. I was playing, old RPGs and got really immersed in the worlds, and decided I wanted to be the person that could build those things and help people be immersed in those worlds and those environments.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started learning about composition, world building, and how to use different software. I started teaching myself programming languages, art, sound design, music production, like anything I could get my hands on. I was just getting into it.
Awesome.
And I did that for a few years. Decided I wanted to take it a little more serious. Took on a mentor, as you mentioned earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and did that for about a year. and decided it was time to try and venture out on, and see what I could do and what I could get into.
Awesome. And then it's really cool to hear that you just had in mind, like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to start somewhere and learn and see how it goes. And I think that's a lot of like a sort of cool thing for people to know. Like, I think a lot of people are always in a sort of momentum, like, okay, what to do? I don't know what to do. I do like that, but I probably can't do it. But I think you just put in like, you know what? I'm just going to try it and see where it goes. And if it's nothing, I at least tried it, right?
Yeah, it's just putting one foot after the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, game development takes so long that you have a lot of opportunities to be wrong and to, game development is obviously a multi-year, like to make one game, right? It's a multi-year
100%.
like problem. So you get it's a lot of trial and error, and just you just have to keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, I can imagine, because like I studied computer science for a little bit, like
There you
trying to
go,
coding, like for gaming. That's what I wanted to do once, but I never ended it because I started to do other things. But yeah, that was already like so intense. Like just a little bit of coding was just pretty much nothing. Maybe doing a wave in a game, and like and the same with. At least what I know, my best friend is doing 3D art at Ubisoft. So it's crazy how much work comes with it. And I think sometimes people don't understand. It's the same with Diablo. Like people are like, oh, that's super expensive. Have you have any idea how much time and money is in the game to even get there? So it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
I think that's one thing I learned immediately was like I really know now what budget means. And when I see a AAA game with a huge budget, like I know it's going to be of one standard, but I'm much more patient and understanding with games that are not AAA, because I'm like, I know that they're not working with the same type of capital, that they're not it's that to solve a problem at an indie or AA level is much harder. And
it's funny because you take the amount of time that you think it should take to make a game, and then you double it. That's how long it takes.
At least double it.
At least double it. And then how much money do you have to make it? You take half of that. That's how much you have to make it. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, you learn it in a hard way most of the time. So And a question that I thought is like, what is the game that you started playing when you were maybe a child, or maybe you were like older? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know me and Branton share the love of the Elder Scrolls games, and especially Oblivion. I know we're both big Oblivion fanboys.
That is the one.
The music especially does something special to me. Yeah, the music in Oblivion, and actually the soundtrack in Morrowind I really like as well. Yeah, Branton, you got any others?
Oh man, I had some favorites growing up, especially like ones that me and my dad would play together. Ratchet and Clank, the Jack and Daxter series.
Yes.
Those were like really ones I got into. But the one that solidified me deciding I was going to do game development was definitely Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Yeah. That was the one. Yep.
And because you are like, that's the first thing I said when I saw you on camera. I'm like, hey, are you like making music? Because that's how you look like. And you're like, yeah. So I understand that when music is great in a game, it triggers something in you, because you might listen to it in a different way than most people do. Is it, I think?
I mean, there's a nostalgia thing, isn't there? I don't really understand the science of nostalgia, but I know that soundtracks obviously are very important for games. I think the Minecraft soundtrack is a really good example. If I heard the Minecraft soundtrack, and it was nothing to do with Minecraft, I might drift past that soundtrack and it would have no importance, or it wouldn't catch my brain at all. But the Minecraft, that's those small little piano tunes that would be almost impossible to memorize had they not been solidified in my mind after embarrassing amount of hours playing that game. I love the Minecraft music, even though it's such a simple tune that just I would never remember otherwise. So
it's like every little piano note complements each impact and axe hitting the stone. Like it all just complements each other.
Yeah.
reminds you of the experience. What about you, Marcella? Have you got a favorite game, or what's yours?
Well, right now it's Diablo.
Yeah.
Also, the music in that game is fantastic. The cinematics are wow. Goosebumps everywhere. So I love it also because it's quite gore, and it's really Diablo. It's really like the old school Diablo's back. And there was this indie game, and I always talk about this, and I keep forgetting the name. You were playing with like a little wisp, and you were following it through a world. It won some BAFTA awards as well. It's like a little town you're walking through, and you will see like, because you're following a wisp, and because of that, not Ori, no. And you follow that, and there's like sort of things that happened over there. You will see it, but there's also this music. Hellblade had also really good sounds, what I remember. So, but I think the game that I was really the most hooked on, that is World of Warcraft. That was something
really, yeah.
I've played since Burning Crusade, so it's like the first expansion. I think I was 16 or something. I played it till a couple of years ago. It became less because of all the expansions. There was too much coming. But yeah, the little me was always very happy when she could play World of Warcraft like hours.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I managed to avoid World of Warcraft. I think
Smart.
if World of Warcraft had, I think if that game had claimed me, I might not be on this show right now today.
You never know. But I mean, for me, it was like I was like this girl that got bullied, and for me, World of Warcraft was my savior. It's really weird, but for me, that game, I could be myself, and no one was judging.
It's your community, right? It's your...
Yeah, like I could be this super fancy night elf, or later on the blood elf, you know. And meanwhile, like in real life, I wasn't that sexy, so you know, it was really cool to be like that in game. But yeah, so I think a lot of games have a sort of what you just called a nostalgic feeling. Sometimes it can be just a little thing about the music, or that makes you happy, or something that just triggers a sort of emotion. But overall, I think I can't imagine a world without gaming. Like, without gaming, I would be very sad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, gaming is great for people who are going through tough times as well.
100%.
Like that's you know, I had a pretty tough childhood, and gaming was a really influential, like, not just the gameplay, but also the, like, you know, Xbox Live, right? You come home from school and you can hang out with your friends, even if you might not have the money to travel to go see them, right?
Yeah.
Or you know, sometimes like story, I think, is a really important part of games, and it's maybe something we can get onto. Is one of the things I think a lot of Web3 studios maybe are missing in some of their experiences that they're working on, is how important story is.
Mm-hmm.
Because these stories, especially when you're young, these stories like inform so much about your view of the world, and like how you understand like things and people and problems. And like Final Fantasy X, for example, that story really influenced me in quite a big way. It was the first it was a PlayStation 2 game, and it felt like a movie, right?
Oh, so cool.
And I just loved it. But yeah, I think stories like hooks you, doesn't it? And it can but yeah, I mean, I'm glad we have gaming for lots of reasons, but I think story is one of the...
Yeah, so quick in that. Normally we do chat questions later, but I think there's a perfect one to hook into it. What's your favorite game story, Toby? That's what they were asking.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy X, I think, was probably the one that influenced me a lot. I really like God of War. I think the way that they've reinvented that franchise, Cory Barlog and the team working on the God of War games 4 and now Ragnarok, done a phenomenal job on bridging that gap between games and movies. It's just like an absolute snack to look at that game.
Yeah.
So I think that one. I'm obviously stoked as hell for Starfield. I'm refusing to watch any. I'm not going to watch any content on it. I'm just going to play it. Elden Ring also was a wicked, strange story. Obviously, that they always make these peculiar stories. That was a really interesting one. What about you, Brunson?
Yeah.
Story-wise, Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was the first like RPG that I played, and the story really, really had me hooked. And the ending of Fallout 3 got me. Oh man, it got me.
It did me, yeah.
It did, yeah. It's one of those ones where like I still remember it like to this day, and I played it like 12, 14 years ago, and I still remember everything that happened.
That Broken Steel DLC, I think, changed everything.
Oh
I
yeah.
was so glad for that DLC. Yeah.
All right. So I see in the chat someone loved World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, Fallout's great show, Last of Us. Yeah, oh man, there's so many games, and I think if
Last of Us is a good story.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also, do you guys have? Well, you probably have watched this TV show.
I haven't. No spoilers, please. No spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers. I really like, and it's funny because my boyfriend is not a gamer at all, but he was like hooked. He was like, "Oh, this is cool," and like, "Oh, yeah, you have not played the game, but it's fun." I really like it when something is also really fun for non-gamers because they cannot just make it only good for the gamers. A lot of time gamers are really like nasty if something gets remade into a movie or whatever. But I think great actors, really, really fun to watch, easy to watch as well. So I can't wait till more is coming. But no spoilers, but you should watch it.
No spoilers. I'm still catching up on like. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings yet either.
Excuse me.
The movie. I've seen the movies. I've seen the movies. The show. I haven't seen the show.
You almost set yourself up for failure there, Toby.
I've seen the movies too many times, actually. I know in London you can do an overnight screening of all of them at a cinema.
Oh my god!
Where you can go and spend the whole night watching them, and
That's
I assume you fall asleep in the chair. But
that's too much.
Yeah.
I had it with Harry Potter. I think I've watched it so many times.
Correct. Shout out to the Harry Potter game as well. You're talking about games that are good for non-gamers to enjoy. I think the Harry Potter game crushed that. I think they did a great job.
I have not even played it.
I've only played a bit of it with my girlfriend, but it's beautiful. It's lovely. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
still
I don't know
something
if
I
I'll
have to
complete it,
play.
but I don't know if I'll complete it, but I think for the experience that I got to share with her as a non-gamer, right, it was worth the money.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I played the old one, but then we're talking about very long time ago. Gryffindor, yeah. All right, so tell us about your journey at the Bornless. So, Brenton, maybe. How did it all happen for you?
Oh yeah, so that's I was browsing job forums one day. Yeah, I'd been doing some freelance work for a little bit and was still looking for freelance work at the time. And decided I was going to, just apply to a bunch of places, see what I can get as I was in between contracts at the time. And Toby at Cathedral was actually one of the first ones to respond, and we scheduled an interview. And it was like every once in a while you get those times where you meet somebody and you just get along, like you're on the same wavelength, just like immediately.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Warming my heart.
Yeah, it was just one of those times where like you could tell we had a lot of the same ideas, we like the same games, like we enjoyed a lot of like the same entertainment, and we just got along right away. And I kind of knew that in there that I would I hadn't gotten the job yet, but I had a good feeling. I was like, I think I got
he
this
had
one.
The job. He did have the job.
It almost sounds like this perfect.
I maybe didn't tell him on the spot.
It almost sounds like this perfect love story starting here. So.
Well, no, I hate him
the
now.
music.
I hate him now. I can't stand him.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
But that's great, because if you have that feeling directly, it's also for you something like, okay, if I get this job, it's not going to feel like a job. It's going to feel like something like a passion you can, do your thing at. And definitely if you can have a chat, like fun chat, but also like work things, it's good. And you,
Exactly.
Toby, because of course you got Brenton, you want to have a job. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, I got started obviously scrappy, solo developer with one other game dev. His name is Jackson. He's not part of the team anymore, but he's still a good friend of mine. We were working on the early version of Bornless. It was originally going to be just a game jam. We were going to try and do it really, really fast. We started July 2021, and we were going to make a small horror game just for Steam. But then saw this really interesting different kind of way to do gaming with Web3. and thought, that looks like an interesting problem. And there was lots of interest around it at the time. Obviously, there's a lot of skepticism around it now, which is good. It's good that there's skepticism. But we jumped in. We thought, yeah, this tech looks fun. This looks cool. And looking at some of the games that we thought, were a really good version of Web3, for example, EVE Online. You've mentioned World of Warcraft. Like, there's a lot of types of games that would really use the tech really well. We knocked heads and came up with an idea for an FPS sort of RPG, sort of MMO. It's gone through different phases. The original prototype was more spooky, and over time we've managed to build out into this very ambitious title that's starting to really come together. All the pieces are there.
Nice.
But yeah, we started in July 2021, and it was me and this other developer for about 6 months, maybe 9 months, and from Branton at the same time that we managed to get a bit of funding. Basically, we got a bit of funding to kick off the game, and started hiring some people, Branton one of them, and slowly built our team. Slowly is the key thing, because there's a lot of Web3 studios out there that do not do things slowly. So we slowly built out a team, and yeah, we're currently in alpha. We thought for a while we were in beta. We're not really in beta. We're in alpha. It's a fun alpha though. It's fun. We think we'll be in what we now understand about Bornless. We think we'll really be in beta about May next year. But we're in alpha at the moment, and you can come play it. It's been playable for over a year now. You can come into the Bornless Discord and grab an access key, or chat with the devs and play it.
Yeah, that's very quick, by the way. That's I mean, you started like 2 years ago, so when you said we took it slow, but I think it's still very quick.
Well, when you can work, it wasn't good when we started. Like it was 2 devs who came up with a kooky idea, and it was fun, but it was not polished. Like, it was jank, and it's been jank, and it's still got jank, and it's got a lot left to do. But
yeah, you probably will always, even when it's done, everyone's like, "Oh, it's awesome." You'll be like, "Well, there's always stuff that you don't like."
Yeah. It's good though. It's getting there.
Yeah.
The stuff that the guys have got at the moment, the features that they're not currently playable, like, there's lots of pieces of the puzzle they're getting worked on that will get slotted together. And the pieces of the puzzle are starting to look pretty good. So
glad.
Yeah.
We are definitely our own biggest critic, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's with any creative. Like, you just get to a point where, like, I see the progress I'm making, but I have, a goal, and I'm not there yet. So you keep striving to be better and better. And I think that translates to, the game as well. For everybody at the studio as a whole, is like, we have a goal that we want to get to, and we're making better progress every day, but we know where we want to be, and we're headed there.
Yeah, well, and I think it's good. I mean, then you will make the best product, and in this way, the best game. So before we dive into our main topic, we would like to know, what is your favorite game? And don't say your own game, but like really like your favorite. I mean, it's hard to pick one, but try.
I think, even though we said Oblivion and Final Fantasy were 2, I think the game that I actually spent the most hours in was probably Skyrim, because I modded it like crazy and just turned it into like this. It was always next gen. Like, with the modding that you could do in Skyrim, it was just always a next gen game. So I think probably Skyrim, because I think part of my mind did actually get lost in those mountains, and I'll never get it back. So I think I'm going to say Skyrim.
Okay.
Man, there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of games that I play, and I've played for years now, but I think, even with maybe not the most time played, I think the one that I would have to go back to as my favorite of all time would be Jack X Combat Racing. It was a spinoff of the Jack and Daxter series on the PlayStation 2. And that was one game, like, me and my dad, my brothers and sisters, like, it was something that we could all play together, and we all had a great time trying to compete with each other. And it was just a really, really fun game that every day, I come home from school, it was something I could, boot up and just have fun playing.
Nice. All right. Well, we're going into the next subject.
What about you, Marcella? No, hang on. You have to answer as well. It's a tough
Not
question.
getting out of
What
that
are you gonna get
one.
out of it?
Yeah,
You have to pick one.
I'm just
Can't
gonna
say World of Warcraft. Can't say World of Warcraft.
that's so me. That's like literally what I had to say because that. But if I have to say what, it's not. It's
Tough, right?
It will be World of Warcraft still because that helped me through the bullying times and also put the most time in it. If it's so life changing even, and that would be the same for Heroes of the Storm because that has changed my career starting off with hosting for Blizzard. So that's where things kicked off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a game. Like it's sad that it's died kind of. But that gave me a lot of fun, a lot of new people in my community. So yeah, but game-wise, obviously, it's not the best game. But World of Warcraft, it will be the one for me because I've played that for many years with my best friend when we were young till we were older. So yeah, that's the one for me.
Good choice.
Okay, now we're continuing. So subject 1 is a take on the gaming industry. So gaming has quickly gone from a niche hobby into one of the biggest markets in the entertainment industry. The video game market is worth an estimated 197.11 billion and is expected to expand at a compound with a growth around 12.9% from 2022 to 2030. Oh, damn. Okay. So, that is still growing quite a bit. I'm going to show you all a slide. The first slide is, as you can see, number of gamers expected to hit 3.32 billion by 2024. So you can see it's still growing quite a bit. So according to the latest data, there's an approx 309 billion active video games worldwide. That figure has risen by over 1 billion in just 7 years. That's a 32% increase. And the number of gamers is expected at 3.32 billion by 2024. So back to you guys. What's your take on the user growth of the global gaming industry?
Yeah, I spend too much time looking at those numbers. Yeah, I mean, I think gaming is an interesting term that's not going to mean the same thing in a few years, maybe. I had this conversation actually with my auntie the other day. So, VR chat, do you guys think that's a game?
I think it uses gaming technology in a very social way. I don't quite. There are activities you can play in VR chat, but I think if you look at it in a general sense of like VR chat versus another game, VR chat really it's a social platform. It's a social platform.
I don't think it's a game. Yeah. What about you, Marcella? Do you think that counts as a game?
Well, when I saw it, I was a bit like, "Lol, what is this?" It's I don't know. It feels like almost a place where people like.
It's like a chat room, right?
Yeah, chat room, but. You know, when you were young, you were in chat rooms and it was already like a bit sketchy sometimes, but I have the same feeling about this.
Yeah. I mean, ethics aside.
Sketchy is a word.
Like, I would not describe it as a game, personally.
No, like definitely like more like a Discord that you come together, but then you see each other sort of. Yeah.
And then like if we use, was it Telltale who did the Walking Dead series?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like is that a game in the same way that Call of Duty is a game? Not really.
No, but it is a game in my feeling.
That I think I would call a game, yeah. But I think there will be a version of that game that you might class as more of like a movie, right? And I think that's what gaming is gonna. The term gaming I think is going to become very, very broad, and we're going to have to change the term and come up with new ways to break things apart.
Yeah,
like live service. The idea of a live service game is kind of an interesting concept, like you're like a lifestyle that you're participating in, or something like that.
I mean, even mums with a phone who play like a word phone or whatever it's called, that is a game as well. So they are counted as a gamer. So obviously the numbers are huge, and then most people don't even know. But like, I think almost everyone has played a game or played something on their phone. It counts. Everything counts as being a gamer. So yeah, I don't know. it's a sort of good and bad at the same time, because when the numbers are low then on your game that you're making, they're like, huh, but there's so many gamers. Yeah, okay, but there are a lot of gamers all over the whole industry of gaming, and that's quite a big one. So yeah. And why do you think more people start gaming every year?
I actually have an interesting response to that. I think it is a mix between not peer pressure, but social media pressure. You start to see it more often. It's becoming, gaming used to be something where it was your parents saying, hey, get off that game, do your homework. And now it's, oh, you can make $80,000 a year playing games as a professional. Like, go kids, go play. It's something that's becoming more and more widely popular and accepted. And that's a trend that you see throughout, a lot of things in society. Something that was, when it was first invented, or when it was popular 20 or 30 years ago, or wasn't popular 20 or 30 years ago, gets accepted, over time. And that's something with the gaming industry, especially kind of back to the whole VR chat or Telltale thing. It's, gaming is moving from just playing video games on a controller to more interactive experiences. And that's something that can be experienced by a wide variety of people. And the more accessible it becomes, the larger audience you're going to gain over time. Yeah,
it's also less of a... If you were saying, I play video games, people were laughing at you like, oh, nerd. And now it's like, oh, cool, what you're playing. And it's a whole different way. I mean, also with streaming, 10 years ago when it started, people thought like, like playing video games for a living, what is this? And now it's like, oh, you're a streamer as well. Like it's almost like not fun anymore because everyone is a streamer nowadays. So I always just say I'm the grandma of streaming. So what about you? Like, oh yeah, I'm already streaming for 3 years. I'm like, okay, cool. So yeah, it's a whole different way of how people look at it. And I don't know. It will always be a good and a bad thing at the same time. That's how I see it, at least.
I mean, gaming's got lots of problems as well, isn't it? Like, I think it's similar to social media in some ways, that we don't quite yet know how to. We aren't used to like forming healthy habits and stuff. Like, it's very easy to, especially when we were younger. I don't know if it was the same for you, Marcella, but in our schools, at least where I grew up, it was like, every kid would come home from school and play Xbox Live. Like, that was what the boys in the school did. And it wasn't the same for the girls. They in my school, at least, it wasn't the same. But every single boy would come home and would play Xbox Live. And that was kind of the habits that got formed around that. Even though it was, you have many like amazing memories, like it's not always very good habits that get formed.
No.
And I think as time's gone on and gaming has matured and we've gotten used to like the idea of Xbox Live and these, interconnected massive experiences, we've started to wise up a little bit to like, okay, these experiences are incredible and awesome, but we do need to, we do need to like go outside and touch grass. And
like, how old are you guys, if I may ask? So I know.
I'm 28.
Okay.
On Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, it took you a little bit to figure that out.
I thought I was 28 already, but my girlfriend told me I'm not. So I am this Saturday.
Okay.
Apparently.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Okay. Yeah, then I am the older generation. I'm 32.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, like, I don't know what girls were doing, like when they were younger, because I was always with the guys. Like, I was always also playing video games and hanging out on the skate park and, skateboarding and everything. So I can't really say I had a normal girl youth in that way. So I don't know what girls were doing by that age, but I was playing also video games or having LAN parties with my friends. Yeah. So, we're going to the next slide. This is about, look at the top 7 biggest gaming nations by user penetration, and they show, obviously, Japan is still growing quite a bit, but UK has been making really big steps, and Nigeria, I did not thought it would be that much. That was something I did not expect. It South Korea, yes. So what it says here is that by nation, Japan and the UK have the joint highest video game user penetration rate, 58%, as of 2027. The UK is expected to be front runner with 70% of the population playing video games. Here's a look at the top 5 biggest gaming nations by user penetration. Yeah. What is your favorite game type? Is it like FPS, casual, action? What's your kind of jam? What's your jam?
Actually, at the moment, I think RPG is probably my favorite. But at the moment, I'm really enjoying. I like sort of quicker games, just to like because they don't take as much of my time. So TFT, the League of Legends auto chess. I really enjoy that. The actual chess game, chess.com, the game of chess. I've been playing that on my phone quite a lot.
Okay.
I suck, but I quite enjoy that. I used to play a lot of Hearthstone. I was good at Hearthstone.
Really?
I was good. No, I mean, I think I was good. I got to top 10% in Europe, supposedly.
Oh, that's quite good.
According to my rating. But then I had to stop. It wasn't good for me anymore, so I had to.
So you had to play against Thijs, like the Dutch guy.
No, I don't think I got that far. Top 10%. I think they get Tyson. He was top number 1, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he even won an Aston Martin in something. Yeah. So yeah, sick.
yeah. No, I don't think I got that nearly that far. No.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah. I should clarify as well. I'm a scrub. I got top 10% in battlegrounds, not in ranked. So I never got near. I couldn't climb ladder well enough. So.
Okay.
When you said it's not good for your health, I just imagine you like waking up in a sweat middle of the night, like, my mana coin, where's my mana coin?
Dude, because you can get Hearthstone on your phone. Like, oh my god, it's so hard to not play that just until 2 a.m. in bed. And I did that many times. Yeah. And you shouldn't play at 2 a.m. because at 2 a.m. you suck. Like, you shouldn't try and climb ladder at 2 a.m.
Oh, you should not. No.
Go to bed. Like, you suck. You know.
And you, Brenton, what's your favorite genre?
Oh, I'm kind of in the same boat as Toby, where I don't get to play games as often as I used to. But if I do, it's usually a quick game, just because I can hop in and out, in between work or after work, before bed, not 2 a.m. But it's usually Rocket League is like my go-to if I have a few minutes. And if I have a little bit extra time, it's usually Rainbow Six Siege, which are very cliche answers, I know, but those are the 2 that I go to.
Okay. Well, not that cliche. It's okay.
Siege is tough. It's too hard for me. I can't play Siege.
No, same. It's not my thing at all. I've
got boomer hands. I can't keep up with the...
Okay, so we're going to the last slide. And that is the most popular video games in the US are casual games, with 63% of people claiming to play these regularly. This is followed by action games, 39%, and shooter games, 39%. So, yeah. Racing games quite high as well. So let's zoom in a list of the shooter genre. You guys are creating an FPS. What makes shooter games so popular and a big chunk of the game sector?
That's a good question. I think that Call of Duty 4... I mean, there's lots of huge games that influence generations to play the FPS genre. I know Quake was a big one for that generation. But I think for my generation, Call of Duty 4 and Halo 3, actually. I mean, all of the Halo games, obviously. But I think Call of Duty 4 especially was a really important moment in gaming, when multiple generations flocked to a title because it was just so good. And I think that in film and TV, you have the idea of like the concept of like grammar, of like what's the kind of like grammar of your story and your content. And I think that like genres in gaming, everyone got used to the FPS grammar.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like like you can pick up an FPS game and pretty much probably know the controls without having to do a tutorial. For most FPS games, you can figure it out. And I think it's because that genre is so ritual now, and it got established, I think, by the games like Call of Duty and Quake, that we've just gotten so used to that genre that it's so widely understood. Basically, like it's pretty user friendly, and the standardization was created by very high quality experiences that were like a cut above a lot of other experiences at the time, and so it's become it was a cultural wave that's sort of still drifting. I mean, that's my guess. If you look at the data, I'm sure you could pull out other reasoning. What do you think, Brenton?
I think I'm in agreement, but I think there's a couple more things. It's more of like maybe a psychological aspect. Is in like the broad genre of games, FPS games are some of the quickest, most intense games, and as we are exposed to a lot more things, we become desensitized to a lot of experiences. And FPS games, you get the most intense interactions and the most feedback from the actions that you're doing in a game. And it's almost like a dopamine or adrenaline. Like people see that they're shooting something, they get that reaction, and they want more of it. And Call of Duty, the Call of Duty Zombies and some of the old FPS games, Quake, were a really good testament to that. And I think it really stemmed from that. Third-person shooters, racing games, RPG games, they all have very different kinds of interactions and feedback. And first-person shooter is where you get the quickest hit of adrenaline. And I think that's why it is the most popular.
Yeah,
they're very thrilling experiences.
Yeah. I think as well of course, gaming was always more a man-dominated, a male-dominated way and world. Obviously, it's getting more, less only the male side. But it's always, when I was asking friends around, or even guys who were not really playing video games, they always were saying, or they played FIFA, or they played like Call of Duty or Battlefield. Also sort of this momentum of like, oh, look at me, I'm shooting all these guys. Like, it's really a sort of tough feeling at that moment. But yeah, I think because then there comes as well, of course, the part of US and the weapon part and like shooting. But I think it's the same that, they were making ways that this guy who've done the stuff in, where was it, Finland or like Norway, I think, with the shooting on all the kits on an island. He was playing World of Warcraft, and everyone said that's why he's doing this, because he was playing World of Warcraft. So that's the part of, you said, like the healthy and the bad way of gaming, that sometimes the media is not really putting show on how good it can be. I think it helped people to not maybe to say it very hard, like kill themselves or something, because they felt good, they felt understand, they felt better, but they always highlight the fact how it's bad for the people, but I think there are how do you say it, addictions to anything, literally everything. So, and gaming is definitely something that can be a bad thing, but it's also bad if your kid is the whole day on TikTok. It's also not great. There are so many things that are not good. But I thought directly, because I was seeing US on it, and it's always the thing the whole time with the weapon legal part that a lot of people don't understand in Europe, obviously. And then you see with the shooting games, it's sometimes, like it comes quite close in a way. If someone wants to start out in a shooting genre, what would be your top 3 tips for the gamer or this gamer?
To start out as a player or a developer?
As a player, I think, if you want to play.
Oh, well, it depends on if you want to be on console or PC. If you're on PC, you need to get good with a mouse and keyboard. You need to bite the bullet, get good with a mouse and keyboard. because I'm a sort of more of a console gamer, and I just can't keep up with. But I'll let Branton answer the real questions on
Oh,
that.
that was a good start. Mouse and keyboard is great if you want to be competitive at a game. Another one is a lot of I guess shooters. A lot of shooters are competitive shooters, but a big part of that is like the mental aspect. Like, don't get frustrated if you
Yeah.
lose, because
Yeah.
you know every death and every kill in a game is a learning experience. You know, that's one way. You know, if you lose this game, you learned your lesson, or you should try and learn your lesson from it, and then the next game, you know, take what you learned from that and apply it to the next one.
True.
So stay in a good mental state whenever you're doing it. And third one, well, what is a good third one? I guess it's so different.
I've got a good one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do a little bit of research into the meta. Just like a very small amount of research into the meta will like just simple tricks, like 20 minutes on YouTube. Watch any player who's playing the game, and you'll immediately pick up on like 3 tricks they're doing. Like influencers and YouTubers and streamers are like, you just steal all their tactics. So yeah, just like a little bit of research into the meta goes a long way. Like TFT, I've been sucking at that for like 2 weeks because I haven't researched this patch yet, and I've just been playing it for fun. But I finally, like 2 days ago, was like, let me just look up what the meta is, just do it. And I did. I spent 20 minutes. I looked up the stats, and I was like, okay, now I know what to play. And I've been climbing ranks.
Nice.
So.
Yeah.
But it's the same for FPS. Like you should just look what the meta is. Like, what's the map knowledge? Like, what's the, you know, what are people playing?
And what you like. I mean, I know I'm a really bad sniper, so I'm just not doing it. You know,
I'm terrible.
So
bad.
if you know you're like good at really shotgun, trying to do more things with that, and then at least look at the meta at that moment. Which shotgun is good? Like in my way, it's of course that I play Apex Legends, so that's for me. It's like a battle royale, but it's in a way also like a shooter. But I do look at the meta as well, but I'm also looking like what I like. But sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I was super good with a shotgun, peacekeeper, whatever, and then all of a sudden it gets nerfed so much. Or not at all. Like it just really depends what they're doing with it. But I think that's very important. Like just see what kind of gun worked for you, and what you're good at. But yeah, console, man, I am really jealous because I can't do anything on a console. Like
you can't play on a console?
No, I'm a PC gamer.
Okay. I mean, it's tricky. I feel allied to both camps because I played DayZ like religiously for 3 years or something, 4 years. The mod.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Standalone was cool. I don't dislike standalone, but I played the mod, and I wasn't very good at it. But I played so much of it that I felt like a real PC gamer, and that's obviously mouse and keyboard. So it must have been okay because I played for years, but I obviously retained none of that skill. Because I stopped playing for years, and now I'm just.
You can do both. It's fine.
I'm so bad at PC now.
By the way, in the meanwhile, if the chat got any questions, we will be having a longer show than expected because this is great. I'm really having a fun show with you guys. I'm like, oh no, the time, but we keep on going. We're just having a good time. So if anyone has a question, please let us know. Let's quickly go to subject 2, Web3 gaming. How and when do you think Web3 gaming will really have a place in the gaming industry?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's going to take a while. There's a few key players who are working on much bigger budget games than Bornless, who will be able to influence some of the adoption, not just from gamers, but from the actual industry. Gamers obviously need to get to a point of trust with Web3 because at the moment they have none, and they shouldn't have any because it's a mess out there. So it's good that there's no trust for Web3 games at the moment. There shouldn't be trust. But there's a few big games with big budgets from games, you know, like the EVE Online creators, for example, who are making a Web3 game, and those AAA budget games will help move the industry with trust, and then you'll find all of these games that are currently being worked on quietly by teams like ours, where we're just getting on with development, and we'll be releasing around the time when you'll see this shift start to happen. Obviously, as we all know, with Web3, like the prices go up and come down, and when the prices are down, the news rips on it, and when the prices are up, everyone's getting paid, so everyone loves it, and it's obviously ridiculous. But yeah, I think when the prices start to come up again, like suddenly you'll see influencers playing Web3 games, and you'll wonder where all these secret Web3 games were. But they're all there. They're just teams are quietly getting on with it. But before you really see like dramatic improvement from Web3, I think it's going to be a good number of years, like at least probably 5. I think that the initial Web3 implementations you'll see will be pretty basic, just like a 20% improvement on a certain feature. It's not going to be revolutionizing gaming the way that a lot of studios say it will initially, because the actual like dream of Web3 gaming is a much harder problem to solve than just, oh yeah, let's do some NFTs. That's not how it works. The dream of like a Web3 gaming is that some types of games, not all games, but some games can start connecting together so that we can have huge experiences that span multiple games. Like imagine if you could play Siege and Apex, but that your account, collected in the middle, and that you could move back and forth and hang out with, you one lobby. And it's a lot of what the industry's already been working on with Xbox Live and everything like that. But the ability to move the stuff you've been collecting in your games, back and forth. It'd be dope to have like a wicked house where all of your Elden Ring stuff and all your Skyrim stuff could be in one house. That'd be cool. But yeah, that's not going to happen for many years, right?
Yeah.
And the tech initially has been flamed so much because so many scammers have used it that I think it's slowed it down a little bit, but it's for the better. So yeah, that's my kind of take on that. I wonder, Branton, if you've got any other thoughts to add on that.
Yeah, I think I got the exact same question about a year ago in another talk or conversation, and I think the first wave of mass adoption will be end of 2024. That's when you see games like Shrapnel, Dead Drop will become, whether it's early access or like a public release. That's when you're going to see the first wave of a lot of influencers playing it. And then I imagine it might die off a little bit after that novelty kind of wears off. And then when you get into the kind of what the core of Web3 is meant to be in gaming is going to be a few years, like Toby's saying, because what's going to happen is, these larger studios are making something that looks fun and is fun to play, but it doesn't have the tech that Web3 is supposed to be. The end goal of Web3 is the tech just isn't there yet. So you're going to see that wave of, people playing it because, Dr. Disrespect's the studio made it, or these people from Activision made this game, and that's going to bring people in. But to get that full Web3 experience, that is the end goal for everybody. It's going to be a few years.
Yeah, I think so as well. But maybe it's good. I mean, give it some time and make it good before, you try to get it all going, and then it will not succeed. So
yeah. I mean, I know I've spoken to, I won't say which game, but it's a big MMO that you will know. I spoke to some of the creators for it, and they described how the take up was slow. And I think that it's just going to be the same with Web3. Like there's so much distrust, as there should be, that it just means the take up will be slow. But then once a few game studios really start to like do it properly and do it with like actually caring about the experience that they're making, which we've not seen enough of, then the take up will be it'll be gradual, but it's going to be steady and meaningful, and the grassroots fans that will get built because of it will be pretty solid, as you've seen in some of these MMOs where the fans are just like beyond in love with the world that has been created. I mean, being a World of Warcraft player. So.
Yep. Okay, so future of the gaming industry. What will the global game industry as a whole look like in 10 years from now?
AI is going to change quite a lot of stuff. I'm not sure how exactly. Obviously, like the 3D generation is coming. That's going to be a really big one, because we've all used Midjourney or DALL-E or Stable Diffusion. We've all generated 2D art and seen what that looks like, and that's getting very, very powerful. And that's 2D art's awesome, to be able to generate that. Obviously, it's like a huge feat of genius that they've pulled that off. But when 3D is generatable, it's going to influence gaming in quite a big way, I think, because suddenly the output of a team is going to be multiplied by many factors when you can 3D generate any weapon that you want, or any, and when you can give those tools to the player directly, like Fortnite and Roblox, for example, if they start giving those tools over to the players to generate their own games, it's going to change things very quickly. And then the Web3 becomes arguably more important in that world, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, AI. I mean, AI is not just going to affect gaming. I fear that we're all going to be space monkeys soon, and we're going to plug into the Matrix. I'm ready. Just plug me in.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's already modding. Modding is already a big thing for a lot of games, and especially like years after a game is released, the game survives because of the modding community. And with things like the Fortnite, the UEFN, the Unreal Engine Fortnite software, and like Toby said, the AI generation, it's going to get to a point where a company makes a game, they release a game, and then the community takes it over and they build it into what they want to see it be. So what's going to happen is I imagine studios will basically make a platform for people to make their own games upon, and it's going to expand. We're already seeing that with Roblox. That's one that's starting to take off with user generated games. But these big studios are going to provide really good bases for communities to make their own games. And I imagine one game, there's going to be a studio makes one game, and then that gets split into 3 different communities, and then there's 3 different versions of that game.
Branches
that are
of experiences.
Exactly. And it's going to be a large hub of a different experiences. And it's not going to be, I'm going to go play Call of Duty. It's, I'm going to go play, XYZ, and it's a different branch of that game.
In Batman, how you've got the multiverse or whatever, you've got all these different versions of Batman. I think that you might end up with something a little bit like that, where there's all these versions of canon for different stories, like a version of Last of Us where a certain plot point might not have happened.
Yeah.
And we'll see versions of stories that will diverge, and these worlds will get really like fascinating and comic booky. And the one reason I really love AI is because of how much creativity it gives to people who don't know how to make art or don't know how to use Photoshop or whatever. Like, it suddenly empowers people to like make what they can picture, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just imagine when 2 people can generate an entire new expansion for a game off of AI, and with the cloud gaming becoming more and more popular and accessible, there's gonna we're gonna get past the hardware limitations, and there's gonna be small teams making massive games.
Yeah. Well, we will see in 10 years where we are at that moment. But now it's time for the game block. The Bornless. Let's get through it. So what's the story behind it?
Well,
That's
yeah,
one for you, Toby.
Yeah, sure. This footage is old. We should preface.
We're not there. Well, I think what? I'm just gonna play the video, and I think this is the perfect timing as well to talk about the story behind and what's the most exciting, and all the things about it. So I'm going to the trailer right now. There it goes. So it's going, and meanwhile, we can listen to Brenton or you as well, Toby. Just like, what's the story behind this?
Yeah, I can't see the stream. Are you showing the trailer
Yeah,
or the gameplay
the
right now?
gameplay, the 5
The
minutes.
gameplay. Let me do the story after. Let's let Branton explain how the game works first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how behind we are on the time in the game to we're talking. So hopefully it's not too disconnected.
Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is one of our core game modes. It's the Orbis game mode. It is a 8-player, so it's 4 teams of 2 fight on a map over control of these shrines. You can actually see these red beacons in the sky here on the screen, and those represent the locations of shrines around the map. Whenever the first round ends, only 1 beacon will become active, and it's up to players to gather resources and fight for control of the shrine at each active shrine. Whenever they control a shrine, they actually are able to summon the demon Oribus to fight for their team, hunting the other players. The end goal is to be the last team standing, and so it's a very interesting spin-off of a few different game modes, but it creates this kind of rotating gameplay around the map with very varied types of interactions and combat throughout the map. It lends itself to several different play styles. It's dark, so you're able to hide well, but if you can play the shrine and summon the demon, he can seek out those teams, and instead of an attack or a defense option, he becomes a hunter to lead you to where the enemy teams are. So we see the current active beacon is up now. Again, that's represented by the giant red beacon in the sky.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just collecting resources on the way there. You can pick up ammo, and incense is the in-game resource that allows you to buy weapons and more ammo, allows you to summon Oribus.
If you have a pistol here or like a Colt, but is there other guns or like different guns?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a core set of primary weapons right now. Everyone starts with a pistol and knife because we do want that inherent progression throughout each match. If you just came in with a loadout, that's there's nothing wrong with that, but that leads to very quick and kind of abrupt gameplay. Whereas this, you have to progress over time. The weapons you actually buy with the incense you pick up throughout the map. And at the beacon location is actually where you buy your weapons. There's a shopkeeper named Hag, very fitting because he's an old demon.
Okay.
And his shop kind of just randomly generates 2 weapons. So you have 2 options when you get there. We've got a Tommy gun, we've got a double barrel shotgun, we've got a Kar 98, which is my personal favorite.
I hate that weapon so much.
It's great. I love it. We've got several others that we have been testing, and we're kind of waiting for the right time to add them. We want to make sure that we test all of the weapons as we go along so that we can balance them properly. And so we're kind of slowly adding weapons over time.
Okay.
Here, it didn't quite translate or communicate well, but he actually, the person playing, took some damage from behind, so he's trying to get up to a building to a higher elevation to kind of see, because the game is dark. This is important to note. This is a very, very old build.
That's 7 months, I think.
7, yeah. So the new map isn't quite as dark as this, as well as there's a lot of new utility, flashlights, smoke grenades, etc. So you have a lot more options at your disposal.
Well, to be honest, yeah, as people in the chat said as well, the movement looks really fluid, and that is something that I am very loving when movement is good. So yeah. You see, we just bought a Tommy gun there and some ammo. So they're gonna try and take up position to guard the shrine. So right here, you see that giant red kind of circle or wall of flame there, and that is the zone of the shrine. So it has been activated, and it's up to the team who activated it to defend the zone. Right here, the person who was playing actually died. And when you die in this game, instead of just being down and spectating, you actually go into a ghost or spirit form. And in that form, you're able to fly around and help give your teammate call outs so that they can
plan and strategize appropriately. But you are also very, very visible, and the movement is very slow and floaty. So you can't just get around and make callouts anywhere. You really have to. People are going to see you knowing that they're being called out. So it's communication on both sides.
Okay, well, it looks really good, and of course, want to know what the story behind this.
The story, yes.
Yeah.
So, anyone who's interested in the story can Google The Lesser Key of Solomon. The Lesser Key of Solomon is a book. You can read it up on Wikipedia. You can buy it on Amazon. This is a public domain text, which is what's known as a grimoire. It's a collection of 72 demons, which are listed in sort of Judeo-Christian texts over the last 2,000 years. The Lesser Key of Solomon supposedly was written by King Solomon when he was building a temple for God, and he would summon and control demons to help him build his temple for God. Supposedly, that's one interpretation of the text. And so there's lots of folklore woven into Bornless. There's lots of ancient religious kind of demons that you can find plugged in all over the place. The actual events of the game, I'm not going to tell you anything about. You'll have to come and play it. But it's there's a lot of demons from this book that are in a lot of other movies or games you might have watched or played. Hereditary, the horror movie. I won't do any spoilers, but there's that's referenced with this book. And yeah, it's a dark universe.
Okay.
The Lesser Key of Solomon for anyone who wants to Google it.
And when are people able to they are already able to play to get an alpha key?
It's in closed access, yeah. We're play testing, QA testing. The version that you guys have seen here is very old. This was actually a Unreal Engine 4 version of the game. We're now on Unreal Engine 5. The game looks much nicer. It runs better. It's more fun. But yeah, if anyone wants to QA test and come and help us make the game better, you can hop over to our Discord. Our Discord we're always online. We're always chatting. Our community team they're brilliant and are always around to hang out and play some Bornless and help make it better. So
yeah. And I think we even have a giveaway as well.
We do. Awesome. Yeah, I forgot.
We have a giveaway. We got 8 closed alpha access keys. So what you have to do is follow at the Bornless Game and also at PvP Game Hub on Twitter. You have to like and retweet the post and tag 3 friends with hashtag the Bornless keys and hashtag PvP Game Hub. I think it means retweet this post. I think it's like retweeting anything about today's show, that if you retweet it and tag 3 friends and the hashtag the Bornless keys hashtag PvP Game Hub, I think we will get it in the chat here. I think our lovely PvP Game Hub will say it in the chat what you have to do exactly and what kind of hashtags work. But then you can win a closed alpha access key. So that's really cool, and people can try it out themselves. So yeah, I think for now it is that we have to stop, but I think we could have talked for a longer time. So if they want to contact you, that's the tweet. Okay, so yeah. If you want to contact you guys, what's the best way? Or if they want to contact Bornless?
Yeah, so you can go to thebornless.com, thebornless.com, and you can follow us on any of our socials. You can scroll down to the bottom of the page and they're all listed there. But yeah, the Discord is the easiest way if you want to chat with us directly, you can come in and say hello. We are nerds, we're always online. So yeah, thebornless.com, and then you can find our Discord there.
Perfect. Yeah, we see it in the chat. Thank you so much. With that said, I really appreciate you guys being here. It was really lovely to have you both. And I think we could have had like a 2-hour show, easy.
Awesome. Let's play Bornless sometime together. Let's do
Yeah,
that.
and also like I
Yes.
think when the game is fully out, like then probably things have changed. It would be great to have you guys back because I think we do have to continue the whole chatting. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
So
For sure.
yeah, thank you, Brenton. Thank you, Toby, so much both for being here. It was great. I think, if I may say it myself, it was a great show. So with that said, I always do my little wave. You guys can't see me, but you see me on Twitch. Bye. Thank you so much. And then I'm gonna end the show in a little bit. So thank you. And with that, you guys have to deal with my face again, because I'm gonna end the show. It was really, really fun. Like I said, we could have talked for hours and hours, but it is what it is. The show is come to an end. So the next show will be announced. Well, what the topic is will be announced later this week, and later this week's episode from today will be available on YouTube, podcast platforms like Spotify and Amazon, and Apple Music. So if you want to listen to it back, you can, and of course watch it back here. So thank you so much. And with that said, I see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.